Day 18 of New Orleans Saints training camp rolls on at the Ochsner Sports Performance Center, but slowly but surely, the New Orleans August heat is starting to make its presence known. It is New Orleans Saints training camp show right here on CST. I'm Todd Graffagnini. This is John DeShazier. JD, I can tell you what, I'm hot, you're hot, everybody who's watching practice is hot. I know the guys that are wearing pads are feeling it, and that was kind of a theme here today.
See, Graf, you got to stop that. I think here in the South we call that sultry as opposed to hot. Really got warm here today, though. It's been warming up the last few practices. You're trying to keep guys fresh, and yet you have to get into a rotation and get them the proper amount of work because you can't give them so much rest that they don't get the proper amount of work. You can balance it a lot more with the veterans, but these young guys really need the reps in practice.
The practice a tad sluggish today, and head coach Sean Payton comments on it.
The key is the correction then, right mid-stride, when all of a sudden, you know, whether things are going well for your side of the ball or the other side, you know, finding a way to respond and, you know, and fighting through it. So I thought it got better towards the end there.
Is that wall like fatigue? Is that?
I just think, look, it's hot out here. Played the other night, practiced yesterday. You know, we got to get them freshened up and ready to go again tomorrow.
Rookie center Erik McCoy had his first NFL action on Friday night against the Minnesota Vikings. JD, not only did he play with the ones, but even when the 2 unit came out, he was able to get reps as well. Thought he held his own.
Yeah, Graf, as we mentioned, a young guy who really needs the work. He needs to get acclimated. We've seen him in practice have some drop snaps between he and Drew Brees, and that's going to happen. They've really got to get that chemistry together because we're talking about he's replacing a guy, Max Unger, who had been around here for some years, a savvy vet. Now Erik McCoy is going to have to learn the nuances of that position with Drew Brees. He's played center, obviously, but he hadn't played it with a quarterback like this. But Coach Payton said on Sunday that he really felt like he held his own and that he played well in the preseason game. But McCoy is a work in progress.
Let's hear from Erik McCoy on his performance on Friday night.
Well, first off, it was a great experience. You know, getting out there with the vets, the rest of the other guys. I really enjoyed myself. The competition was stiff, but I thought I had a decent game. Of course, there's things that I can improve on always, especially technique-wise, but that's what I'm out here for. I mean, speed of the game, it wasn't a huge transition to me personally. Also, it was preseason, so I'm not sure how guys were playing it. But it felt good. Speed of the game felt good. I didn't feel like it took me long to catch up at all.
Well, JD, rookie linebacker Kaden Elliss has certainly made his mark during training camp. He works his tail off each and every day, not only with the linebackers, but on special teams as well. And when you're trying to make a team, what you do on special teams is very key to making the club.
Yeah, Graf, it's always the more you can do when you're a rookie player, unless you're a high draft pick and you specialize. Otherwise, you're going to have to be multi-dimensional if you're one of those later picks, and Kaden Elliss is that guy. He's able to play some linebacker. We saw him get some reps there. He's probably going to play on all the core special teams units. He's going to be there because that's likely where he's going to make his mark.
He's really leaned on the vets here. They've done a great job with him. And here's Kaden Elliss talking about that veteran leadership.
You know, these guys like AJ, DD, Alex, Sank, Craig, all these guys that have been here, they recognize plays and formations and tendencies so fast, and even the depth of the back in the game. After the first series, they're coming out talking about it. And for me, that's a jump. You know, we didn't necessarily recognize that stuff. We kind of waited for our coaches to recognize it in college, you know. So just the overall understanding and recognition, it's amazing how good they are at it. And I'm so thankful for how much they're helping me. And, you know, they're teaching me each and every day. I've been with AJ a lot, all the vets a lot, and they're just so awesome about really trying to help me develop in that area. So I'm thankful.
Here's Kaden Elliss on the speed of the game, on how it's increased from college to the NFL.
I mean, definitely, you know, everybody's out there for live action for the first time. There's no holding back because it's your teammate. It's full go. It's trying to knock the other person out. And there was definitely, it was pretty fast in there. But it was fun. I think these coaches did a great job of getting me ready. I wasn't perfect. I have a lot of mistakes I have to clean up, a lot of technique and responsibility errors. But at the end of the day, I was out there, I was having fun, and I'm just thankful to the coaches and the vets for helping me get there.
When we return to the New Orleans Saints training camp show right here on CST, John DeShazier goes one-on-one with defensive backs coach Aaron Glenn.
Well, welcome back to the Saints training camp show here on CST. I'm with defensive backs coach Aaron Glenn. And AG, you seem to have a pretty lively group this year. What are your thoughts so far?
I'll tell you what, man, just from OTAs to mini camp, going to training camp, I mean, these guys have been on a mission. all right? And they understand the talent we have in the room, but they know it's not just about talent. You know, we got to come together as a group, understand what we're doing, and start anticipating instead of just reacting to everything, and they've been doing a good job at that.
You know, how much does it help, I guess, to have some guys who've been together before, Marshawn, Eli, Vaughn, Marcus, have some guys who understand the communication process?
Yeah, I think the one thing that we started to do in meeting rooms is, well, first off, we have continuity, just like you said. And now it's not all about the scheme. Now it's about the details. You know, these guys know what we're doing. These guys understand the scheme. Now it's about the details within the scheme that they're getting better at. And I think that's the one thing why you see those guys playing a lot faster, because they scheme, they got it. Now it's understand, okay, what is the formation, what is the offense trying to do to us, and they're able to anticipate better like that.
Yeah, now we know the starters, obviously, but you got a couple of young bucks back there, Saquon and CJ Gardner-Johnson. What are your thoughts on them? Early in the process, obviously, but a couple of rookie guys, a couple of draft picks, and obviously guys that you hope to get something out of.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the one thing those guys have done a good job, the young guys, is they look at these veteran guys and they sit there and watch them and learn how they operate. And anytime you got a group of young guys that see these guys and want to follow behind these guys and understand these guys are going to help them, all right, that's the first thing you want in a rookie, all right? And that's the one thing that they have gravitated to, these older guys. And, I mean, it's good to see how they operate.
You know, last year, Marshawn admittedly started a little bit slow. He said he probably read a few too many clippings and felt too good about himself, I guess, for lack of better words. Is he a different player this year? Not necessarily physically, but mentally in his approach.
Well, I see a growth in him mentally, you know, every year he's been here. And he understands he has to do that. For him to be at the level that he wants to be at, he got to continue to grow mentally. And I tell him all the time, he know I'm not ashamed to tell him that. And that's the thing about him. He's going to continue to improve in that area. He still has a ways to go. You know, it's probably hard to say that about him because how good of a player he is, but he has a ways to go. And he understands that. And we're going to continue to help him get to that point. And that's my job, that's Lee's job, that's Pete's job to continue to help him get to that point.
You know, obviously, cornerback being an essential position on any defense. Eli came in last year. Now you get him for training camp. Does it help to, I guess, be able to get him from the ground up and be able to do everything?
Absolutely. Just starting from OTAs into minicamp, just to get a chance to get my hands on him and see exactly, okay, what is his strengths and what is his weakness, instead of getting to a season and trying to figure those things out. I get a chance to really dig down deep and see what he's all about. And I'll tell you what, he's made a huge improvement on not just his mentality, but his technique and the way he operates and understanding our scheme.
You know, I guess I need to isolate on Vaughn here too, because Vaughn had seemed to us a very good season last year. How has he progressed?
I thought he had a really good season, and you talk about a mental progression in a player. That's been a huge issue for him, all right, and he's done a really good job at that, and he's continuing to learn too. Just like, you know, all these young guys, man, they still have a ways to go, and they understand that, man. They're doing a good job of learning. You know, the meeting rooms are outstanding as far as a learning environment, and this guy's right behind me, and he's just acting up, you know, but all those guys have done a good job of learning and getting better.
Now, on a personal note, you had some opportunities, I guess, to interview as a defensive coordinator this off-season. Everybody wants to progress in their profession. What are your thoughts, I guess, for the future? Because you're back with the Saints, obviously you're comfortable here, but you're a guy who everybody believes has that kind of potential to be not just a defensive coordinator, but a head coach in this league.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think every coach in this league wants to progress. You know, but the one thing that I try to make sure I keep my focus on is being the best defensive back coach I can for the Saints. And it's important for me to do that. And as long as I continue to do that, you know, I'll let the chips fall. And hopefully, you know, I get a chance to do that. I mean, I have aspirations of being a coordinator or being a head coach. But right now, man, I was going to focus on being a good defensive back for the coach. Not good, but great.
Sarah and Glenn, and we'll be back.
Final segment of the show, the New Orleans Saints training camp show right here on CST. That's John DeShazier. I'm Todd Graffagnini. JD, after watching the film against the Minnesota Vikings, Sean Payton has a little bit of a different philosophy again. What he sees live, what he watches on film, sometimes it's not always what you see on the field.
Yeah, it's never as bad as you think, and it's probably never as good as you think if you're a coach. There's always something to nitpick and some learning areas somewhere where you can kind of hope that guys will have a better technique on the play, even though they made the play, but they might have been able to just athlete themselves into making a nice play. So those are the things that the coaches are always looking for, looking to improve and tweak on.
Here's head coach Sean Payton.
I think sometimes when you put the film on, oftentimes kind of brings you to the middle. You know, there are games where you play really well, you put the film on, and you're a little frustrated it wasn't as well as you thought when you went home. I would say today in our staff meeting, going through the tape and talking about each player, what was clear to me is just the fundamentals, the technique that we're coaching. We've got to, we collectively, you know, ourselves, the coaches, We've got to continue to do a better job because at some point when fatigue sets in and you get tired, you really do lean back to what your fundamentals are. So we're kind of in a race there to develop.
Well, JD, this part of training camp, you usually see roster moves, transactions, sometimes on a daily basis, and no difference here.
Yeah, Saints had a couple of transactions. Waived tight end Jake Powell, terminated the contract of receiver Rashard Matthews, and reserve injured goals offensive lineman Ulrich John. So those are the things that happened from the game. Also, we saw some guys who didn't make practice on Sunday. Now, they might have been around, it might have been a maintenance day, but we didn't see them on the practice field, and that's the main thing we're emphasizing, not whether or not they have an injury or how long they might be out, but just weren't on the practice field. Safety Saquon Hampton was not on the field. Neither was left tackle Teron Armstead, linebacker Alex Anzalone, and running back Alvin Kamara were among the guys who didn't participate in practice outside.
Well, we'll see if they come back out here tomorrow. Again, one final practice with the fans here before the team heads to California on Wednesday. I want to remind you, we'll be back here tomorrow for another New Orleans Saints training camp show right here on CST. It's Don DeShazier. I'm Todd Graffagnini. We'll see you tomorrow right here on CST.